across the void beyond the mind, the empty space that circles time, I see where others stumble blind to seek a truth they never find. Eternal wisdom is my guide. I am the Doctor. Through cosmic ways.
Hello, and welcome to Casual Trek. Normally, we're a Star Trek ranking and recap podcast, but today I am taking you through a journey through time and space. I am Mars Reed Lobato, a writer, and no, I'm not a Torchwood fan. I can't make that claim. And Charlie, who are you?
I'm your cheeky companion. Oh yeah, I come from the present day, and oh, it's all wonderful here. That box, it's all bigger on the inside. How's it do that then?
It does it through dimensional transcendentalism.
Oh, those are some long words.
As you may have gathered, we are not doing Star Trek this week because of scheduling in the future. We're doing something a little bit quick and casual, and we're talking about something I'm very much not casual about, and that is Doctor Who.
Yes, yeah. When we started all of this, it was very much, you're a big Doctor Who guy, I'm a big X-Men guy. Let's watch Star Trek. And
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. I remember saying that the problem is if you started a Who thing or I started an X-Men thing, there was the risk of us going feral. Really?
Yeah, my mum once asked me why I'm doing a Star Trek podcast and not a Doctor Who podcast, and my response was because I want to keep liking Doctor Who.
Yes.
Because I like Doctor Who. I can go feral about Doctor Who, but sometimes I need a break from I don't want Doctor Who to be my every single point of my existence. I've seen big name Doctor Who fans who just everything they eat, breathe, and sleep Doctor Who, and it's just like, guys, can you watch something that isn't Doctor Who and is not Blake Seven? Like, hell, can you just watch some fucking Star Cops and we can have a conversation? Hell, watch the Tripods.
Wow.
Like, Doctor Who fans just tend to get obsessive, and while I'm obsessive, I like to feel I'm faithful but not serious.
Yes. I was talking to someone earlier today who's been getting into Who with the new stuff and is gradually watching the older ones. And yeah, some of his questions were quite specific storyish things. And I remember thinking, yeah, no, I don't care about those technicalities or things. Like, if a story holds up or doesn't, that's one thing. But I'm far too casual with Doctor Who to be able to actually go, yes, well, because the Time Lords have done this. It's like, well, this is a time travel show. Anything's possible, and we change genre every single week.
Like, this is a time travel show where, it's always weird when fans go on about the canon of Doctor Who, because if you look into how Doctor Who was basically written and made for a long period of time, the overwhelming ethos of Doctor Who is, okay, we need to have an episode in the can by the time the lights get shut down in Broadcasting House, which back in the day was 9 p.m., and we need to be in the pub by 9:15. Do we have something we can record? Brilliant. Are we going to get in the pub by 9:15? Wonderful. That's our show.
I think I've mentioned in the podcast before my love of ongoing media, of comics, of TV shows, anything like that, where you get there are problems with it, because just getting one in the can is a problem sometimes. Sometimes you're going to get some sloppier things with comics. Sometimes you're going to end up hiring Greg Land because the man can hit deadlines. But the eccentricities and issues brought up with that kind of thing can be sublime. can be amazing. Because, yeah, that idea of get one in the can. Oh, no, William Hartnell's off for the week. Let's have someone pretend to be his hands, which will be the only bit you see. Or
Yeah.
he just won't be here for this bit because of the way they were shooting it. There's something kind of gorgeous about that.
There is a wonderful charm to like that old era of Who, where the production schedules were so insane for what is, even though like the big joke of Doctor Who like back in the day was they basically have 20 pounds and some string. Let's make a galactic empire out of that. There is just that wonderful verisimilitude, that wonderful camp charm of classic Doctor Who, which is we've got some actors who are off season from Royal Shakespeare Company, and they're basically working for beer money. Because this is the 60s and 70s, the amount of actors who are basically working to maintain an alcohol habit is actually quite disturbing.
Yes.
But at the same time, like they're coming in and they're bringing their A game for a show which looks really kind of cheap, and I admit that's kind of some of the charm from classic Who that I miss in New Who, which is all very kind of glossy and big budget, because Doctor Who can't look cheap because we spent like the first 40 or so years of Doctor Who having to escape the fact that it's a very cheap show for children.
Yeah, well, saying about them being like Shakespearean actors and all that almost fits like with Star Trek, and that idea of as long as you get these people that can channel that very dramatic energy and can ham it up, can sell to you the idea of these wobbly cardboard walls, these weird aliens made from the silly string, and a quick run around Poundland or anything, then yeah, just that gravitas really helps to let you go, oh yeah, this is definitely real, this is definitely a thing. And there's something kind of fascinating about that. I was watching some old Who. In fact, no, God, I was watching some old New Who just before the first one of the specials, and the difference that made. So while this is a bit looser and more chaotic than normal, we do have a vague agenda, and we will be chatting a little bit about the specials. But if you want to know more thorough thoughts about them, do look at Miles's blog. The link is in the show notes because he's done some very good reviews of each of them. But I figure I'd introduce that because I'm going to mention how I first encountered the first of these specials, which was the Star Beast. I'd been trying to go through a marathon of the Tennant Who's because that way my partner and I were saying about wanting to kind of catch up and get in the mood for all of it. But she didn't want to start from the very start, and she didn't really want to go too far. Her main things were, sure, fine, the Tennant one, she'd not seen much of that, and felt that would be more likely to be relevant than anything that the Whittaker Doctor had done, because for Russell T Davies coming back. And then Matt Smith, because she really liked the Matt Smith run. We'd watched, like, we hadn't got far enough by the time Star Beast came out, so we watched the London Olympics episode, the one where Stephen Fry was supposed to be doing some script, and it would have gone over budget, and instead it was very much his, some children's pictures, his like a scribble on the screen. It felt incredibly low budget. And again, entertainingly so, but it was pretty rough. And then watching the opening shot of the Star Beast, and it felt like this would have bankrupted them for this one shot.
Yeah.
Just the gloss of all of it, and going, okay, I recognize these places. I've been around these places, but it looks shiny and so almost filmic, but in an interestingly unreal way. And I think there was a nice charm to that felt reassuring that even though this has that, that Disney money behind it, you're still going to have some practical effects. You're still going to have weird things in costumes, and that feels so necessary to the identity of a Doctor Who. Compared to if it was all like, oh yeah, we could do incredibly intricate CGI monsters. No, we don't want that. We don't care for it here. If anything, that would make it worse.
I haven't rewatched like a lot of when the first Eccleston season came out. I think I watched it 3 to 4 times in that year alone.
Wow.
Because there was just something magical that Doctor Who was back, and it was good, and it had money spent on it, and there was like there was some fantastic writing and fantastic acting. So I think I binged that myself out of the first season of the show early on. But I had to rewatch a few episodes because I was talking about it on fellow Nerd and Tie show, Tube We Was Watch the Tube. One of the things it's really funny to watch in that original Eccleston season is that you're watching the BBC have to learn how to do special effect shows again.
Yeah.
While they're making them, because the BBC doesn't do like these kind of shows. Like the last thing that had practical spaceship effects in a BBC TV show was Red Dwarf in like the mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
And you're just watching them go, okay, we have to relearn how to do all this again. But this time it has to look good. Not that the special effects in Red Dwarf didn't look good. They looked really good for a like 25-minute sitcom.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting seeing the evolution with it all. The Star Beast was an interesting one, especially as an adaptation.
So the first time I saw the Star Beast was in an issue of Doctor Who Classic Comics back in the 90s, which reprinted the old Star Beast comic strip.
So how similar is it? Is it just we've taken the Star Beast?
Well, I think it's like a 6-7 part story. There's a lot more going on. Like for the first half, it does have the similar. You think that the Meep is good, but then the Meep turns out to be evil, and you think the Wrath Warriors are evil. It turns out that they're good. There's a whole bit where the Doctor gets a bomb like implanted in his stomach. There's a chase scene, but it's on a London bus.
Okay.
And the Meep is called Beep the Meep.
Yeah.
Which they really don't do in the show, which I feel is honestly a point missed. And I like the look of, okay, the Meep animatronic for the show is fantastic.
Yeah.
I do wish they'd gone for more sort of the fuzzier ball of fluff that the Beep the Meep is in the comic than the very cute dog that's just been caught in the rainfall that they go for with the TV show.
Yes, we saw that, and Emma was instantly, that is evil.
Yeah.
Like, that thing is evil. And I admit, I am very proud of Doctor Who fans for not having spoiled it for anyone, because I did not see a peep about the Meep.
A Meep. I had to explain to Rihanna, my wife, why I was so excited about the Meep. Like early on, I had to literally pull out my my trade of the Star Beast to go, okay, this is why this is awesome. So my wife loves cute shit like that. The gigantic Pokemon plushie collection is evidence enough.
Yes. Yeah. So like Star Beast was fine, I think.
Like
I don't know if it might be my lower, like if we were ranking these.
Like Star Beast, I might say is my weakest because it feels the most like that 2005 to 2000 and sort of 7, 8. Yeah, it feels like the Russell T Davies era of Doctor Who on speed, for better or worse.
Yeah, you get a lot of ideas and a lot of things thrown in, like all of the stuff with Donna feels very much like this was only really like the story was done, but Russell loves to give a happy ending to all these things. It's like the Rose Tyler stuff and how things end up. The Tenant, who even after the kind of good, dramatic, and admittedly slightly tragic end, he has to go back and fix it.
Mm.
And Donna's fun. Like it's probably the best thing I've seen Catherine Tate do. Really.
Like, I think Donna and Catherine Tate has been my favorite companion of the modern era of Doctor Who. So honestly, while I was very kind of iffy on the idea of David Tennant coming back, because here's my personal Doctor Who hot take:
Hmm.
out of the modern Doctors, the 10th Doctor was my least favorite until Jodie Whittaker, and it's not because of the I don't know. I like David Tennant at first, but I love Tennant as an actor. I just didn't like the character of the 10th Doctor, and seeing him basically do the same character for Kilgrave, the Purple Man, in Jessica Jones didn't help, because it really showed how the 10th Doctor is kind of a dick. And even though the show does kind of go out of its way at times, especially with Martha, to kind of go, yeah, you're kind of toxic to be around, the show kind of doubles down on it, because David Tennant looking sad always makes for good television.
Yeah, it's a curious one because I only started regularly watching Who with Matt Smith.
Yeah.
And I'd gone back and marathoned the Tennant stuff, and you can see like he's got all of it is an iconic look. Like the brand of Doctor Who felt like it was fully back at the Tennant run.
Yeah.
The first edition Doctor Who Adventures in Time and Space role playing game I've got on my RPG shelves is the Tennant one, partly because the company that make it, Cubicle 7, are cursed that every time they do a new edition and have a Doctor on it, that Doctor goes almost immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done the Whittaker edition now. Admittedly, they've not put her on the cover this time. They've made a nice deluxe edition that's got TARDIS doors that open up. Again, just as she goes, and Ncuti Gatwa comes in. So hopefully it'll be a little while before their next new edition, because then that will signal him going as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Tennant, I can see why he's the brand. One of my dear friends, Steve, desperately tried looking like him a lot around that kind of era, and it's like, oh yeah, I see where this is. Yeah, you too, huh?
I had my moments, but like,
See, I didn't have the hair for it.
I am too fat, so I couldn't fit in. I have never been able. So I have a natural aversion to suits.
Yep.
And I had a leather jacket for years, which looked like the Eccleston one.
Wow.
But so I didn't get it because of the Eccleston one.
Of course.
I get why he's like the modern equivalent of Tom Baker.
Yes.
In terms of like the show's popularity. It's just like the kind of the eccentricity I like about the Doctor. It wasn't really there.
No, he wasn't. I mean, that's where Smith felt alien.
Yeah.
And it's not just because he looks weird. And, as a compliment, he looks weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, he felt more alien. And the few appealing bits about the early Capaldi were he was kind of, again, a bit weird and a bit alien. And it sadly took until his final series before I actually cared really about that one.
I admit, with Capaldi, like I was like, his first season is his weakest.
Yes,
but it's the moment in the second season when he comes out on the tank with the guitar and the shades, where I felt like the character had a hook. Like I think the guitar really helps give his Doctor like a character, in the same way that you have like the Jelly Babies with Tom and the Scarf for Tom Baker, or like the flashy cars and the martial arts for the Jon Pertwee Doctor,
Yeah.
or like the recorder for Patrick Troughton. Like the guitar made him feel like he's this aging rock star.
Yeah.
Like he's just kind of busting his way through time and space. And I think that gave him a little bit of like this nice charm.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely helped with that. Some friend's eccentric dad with an electric guitar kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Star Beast wise, have we anything else to say with that? I feel
Like
I feel you're right about going it's for weaker of these, and it's still fine. It's like a good 7 out of 10 kind of episode of a Doctor Who.
it feels weird to say about the modern era, but
Hmm.
it feels trad. It feels traditional.
Yeah.
In a way that's not a slight, but again, it's not like when X-Men, it's like when X-Men goes trad and it's
Ugh.
trying to recapture like, you know, the 90s era or the Claremont era, but
Mhm.
never can because, you know, you can't go back and recapture lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, well, you can't. I often say with this because when people go, "Oh no, it needs to be like the '90s cartoon of X-Men," no, it doesn't.
No.
Have you seen it? Like, I've not been able to finish all of the '90s cartoon, and I fucking love X-Men. It's fine, but what you love is when you were young and
Yeah.
happy, and life felt uncomplicated,
It's
and like going back, going here's the all new, all different Claremont era X-Men, and we're going to write some real garbage stories, but it's those ones that you liked, right? Or it's the '90s team again, and that's like this might be me dooming, like, what is it, July, when the new era of X-Men starts, if it ends up just being that. But just no, give us something new and different,
mm,
and
it,
that's where there will be positives on
it,
this as well
it's
as
it's like, you know, when like a lot of complaints from older fans from when the show came back, it's just like you're complaining that it's not a 4-part horror story starring Tom Baker in a
Hmm.
mansion basically ripping off Hammer horror, or it's not a 7-part Jon Pertwee story which is basically doing like Camp James Bond.
Yeah,
Because TV has moved on for for better or worse.
yeah,
Like and you don't want like I think the worst thing Doctor Who kind of you can do to Doctor Who is basically have it replay the hits, and I think that's my biggest issue with the Whittaker run is
mm,
that it goes back really like it tries in its first season to try and be something different, but it goes back to playing the hits of the Tennant era far too quickly, and in a way, I just think damages.
it felt like a reflex. You
Yeah,
know, that didn't work. Oh no, it's not because we possibly had a little too many companions and we tried a little too hard without actually doing anything interesting with the character. Um, we need
and
to immediately revert.
I think that's just where kind of Jodie Whittaker is just really. I know I've said this before on the show that Jodie Whittaker is appallingly underserved
Hmm.
by the material she's given. I think we've definitely said it like 3 or 4 times when it's come up on the podcast that Chris Chibnall, I think, just kind of went, right. The Doctor's a woman.
Job done.
I don't need to do anything else. I mean, like the Witchfind, like one of the best episodes of the Whittaker era is the Witchfinders when she's stuck in the middle of the witch trials.
Hmm.
And I feel that's one of the few stories where the Doctor, now being of a different gender, gets used appropriately in the time period.
Yeah.
And like, because there's a fifth Doctor story called Snake Dance, where the Doctor is doing all his doom and like running around doing his basically evil multidimensional snake aliens are trying to take over, and everyone just thinks he's insane.
Yeah.
Where normal time when the Doctor's doing that, everyone goes, "Oh shit, we got to pay attention." So, for a time traveling show, the amount of times you'd think, okay, the Doctor being a woman would cause more of a hindrance, and like you would have more, you can have then more of a struggle for the Doctor, because you're showing this is a character who's used to being, this is a character who's the smartest person in the room, and given that space to be the smartest person in the room,
Yeah.
how does being treated as as second class in these societies, how does that affect the character? How does that affect the character's actions? And 9 times out of 10 with the Whittaker Doctor, it's very much seen as not at all.
Yeah. So onto onto any thoughts and opinions on the second special, Wild Blue Yonder.
This is my favorite of the out of the three Tenant specials. This was my favorite because I love a good space horror.
Yes, I was going to say my opinion is I love Event Horizon. I love Sunshine.
I love Sunshine. I watched Event Horizon for the first time with Rihanna. Didn't go well.
No.
She hated Event Horizon.
Wow.
And I'm like, I get it, but I'm enjoying how dumb this is.
Yeah, it's it's not a good film, but it is kind of a fun film.
Like I'm surprised I didn't see it in the 90s.
Yeah, it is such a 90s film.
This is 90s video box, 90s VHS rental heaven.
Yes. Yeah, I never saw it in the cinema. I probably couldn't have got in to see it in the cinema. I bought it in a video box bin of we're getting rid of these tapes.
With downgrading.
Exactly. And it was perfect for that kind of VHS tape.
Like it's a film you watch with your mates when you're 15 and you think that gore equals sophistication. That said, I did get to see Sunshine in the cinema when it was on, and that film looks gorgeous, and I wish more people have seen it.
Yes, yeah, I think it was my brother and I saw it in the cinema back when it first was on, and yeah, it was amazing. Some of the moments where you go, yeah, this is painfully bright and strange and horrific. So yeah, with this, with Wild Blue Yonder, the idea of it being kind of, yes, we've got the CG, but it's very much an enclosed, trapped kind of bottle episode space, just, on a Disney budget, was interesting to see.
And it's basically a full hour of David Tennant and Catherine Tate, who have, I would say, some of the best chemistry I've ever seen in a TV show.
Oh god, yeah. I remember seeing them both guest starring on things as themselves, and it's like, yeah, these two really get on. Like, this is a really fun pair, and they go to town with it in here.
And it's a shame that Wild Blue Yonder does more with the whole just background radiation of the whole timeless child retcon than the Whittaker era ever does.
Yes, it was good for that. The monsters in it were interestingly done. I saw some people being down on the effects. It's like, oh, but I don't care. Like, they look horribly uncanny.
But that's kind of the point. I think one of Doctor Who's greatest strengths as a show when it comes to horror is sometimes taking something real and then just going to town on making it unsettling.
Yes.
Like Midnight, which is another story in the same vibe, which is completely terrifying. But what makes it the terrifying thing isn't like a monster we'd never see. It's the horror is that woman who is copying everything everyone says. And then it's that moment when it just fixes on David Tennant and is saying it in sync and then starts saying it first. And that's when it gets into that really unsettling horror. Like, for me, the big horror, on the big scary, like the big behind the sofa moment for me of Doctor Who isn't a Dalek or a Cyberman. It's shop window dummies coming to life.
Yes.
It's giant maggots in a coal mine in Wales.
So
Like, that's the stuff that sticks in you. That's the stuff that's always stuck in my brain.
yes, I bought and loved and for a time played annually Silent Hill 2. And watching the documentary that came on the copy I had, and hearing that some of the creative team go on about they wanted to make things that were human shaped but that wouldn't move right. And one of the things was just seeing one of the programmers walking in with like a hoodie on and his hands in his pockets and just kind of swaying a bit to some music, and that ended up being the creatures in straitjackets of their own skin because of that idea of how uncanny it looks, and that idea of the human form kind of perverted and made weird and uncomfortable. I admit that's a well I go back to a lot in horror RPGs with things like Trophy, watching that loss of bodily autonomy or of like realizing you can't trust each other.
Doctor Who is a primer in body horror for kids.
Mm.
Because so much of the show is about things, either people being transformed against their will or just the world around you being transformed against your will.
Yeah, but not in a weird, horny Chris Claremont way.
Not in a weird, horny Chris Claremont way. And you've got stuff like the gas mask zombies saying, "Are you my mummy?"
Oh,
and then seeing that perpetuate through people, all these different types. Or like the silence.
Yeah.
Like a creature which you only see and acknowledge when you see it. Any other time you forget you've seen it.
Perfect. Brilliant horror movie concept.
Like Weeping Angels, like Blink, that first episode is a classic for a reason. And I know I've told this. Have I told the story about how I made my wife watch Blink?
Possibly.
Basically, because this is when I still lived in the UK and she was watching Doctor Who on her own. And with Blink, I said, "Okay, what you have to do is you gotta watch this in the dark with the curtains closed. It'll make it a lot better. Trust me." And then her response after watching it was justifiably angry.
Yeah, I can see that.
I get it. It's like, yeah, sorry, mea culpa.
Yeah.
I think actually one of my favorite bits, one of my favorite parts of acting in it from David Tennant in this is the moment after the Donna Among Us duplicate has been taunting him about not knowing where he's from, about Gallifrey, about the whole timeless child thing. And you have the Doctor be kind of like shaken. And then there's the moment when he's alone in the corridor, like this hallway, and he just starts screaming. Doesn't start creaming. That's a different Doctor Who thing. And he just starts screaming in just that visceral frustration and just starts kicking this control panel.
Yeah.
And that's a real, those are the moments of David Tennant acting that I love. Like, I think his beforehand, one of his favorite moments for me of acting he did is in The End of Time, when he saved everybody, he saved the universe again, and then Wolf knocks 4 times on the door, and he realizes, shit, I did all this. I'm still gonna die. And it would just be so easy for me to walk away. Just let Wolf die. It's not fair. because I know how easy it is for me to just walk away and just wash my hands. I can't do that.
Yeah.
And it's that very moment of, like, I love a good noble sacrifice in a show, but you very rarely get the moment when the person who's sacrificing their life you very rarely get that moment when a character goes, "This is bullshit, I hate this."
Mm. Yeah, it's that thing, like, it's often been lamented on here about the David Tennant man pain, and it's more that, you know, it's like how you'd get people like Arrow from Arrow and Batman from Everything kind of going, yes, I've got all of these amazing things, but I'm going to look mournfully and dedicatedly, but kind of sadly inside because I can't express it. But when you see someone like, you know, the Doctor here losing some of his shit, like
Yeah.
actually express some of it. There's the recent ish adaptation of Emma. Um, was very good fun watching some of the reactions of people when they're alone, just in that kind of, what the fuck did I just say? Oh
Yeah.
no, like I have completely fucked this up. And that kind of, like, we've all had those moments of frustration. I remember when I was first kind of losing my rag with an Xbox game that, you know, I've because of my dyspraxia and all that, I was told from a very young age, get this kid learning video games, it will help for hand-eye coordination. And there was one point where there was something that, no matter what, my reaction time couldn't deal with. My frustration would only make me even less coordinated. And it's the only time I've had proper kind of control of rage about anything there. And it was all, you know, directed inwards, my own disability, my own inability to kind of have my fine motor skills working or anything. And I couldn't do anything about that, you know. And yeah, just that vent and actually having Tennant do that was good. Like having, like, the creatures were very good at not just being kind of big slobbering monsters or anything. They were mean. They were like Immortal Hulk mean. Like, I remember when he was facing off against the Avengers in the Immortal Hulk comic, and you go, this isn't angry Hulk. This isn't like evil Hulk. This guy knows their weak spots and knows just to push.
It's the whole it's cruelty.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, just the concept of being at the edge of everything there. Like the weird Beta Ray Bill skeleton was a nice ominous touch. You know, the superstition thing stood out as a bit weird and a little contrived sounding at the time. And I do wonder if there could have been something a bit, I don't know, that would have landed a bit better for me.
Yeah.
In the long run.
I don't know. It feels like a very Neil Gaiman-y moment.
Yes, definitely.
In a show which, in a franchise which sometimes does kind of flirt with that kind of Neil Gaiman-y kind of way of looking at the world.
I mean, some of the Moffat bits in his later run felt very contrived in that kind of, well, time travel's basically magic. It's all fairy tale magic. It's like, just tell us you've not got a proper ending if you don't have one, you know?
Doctor Who isn't hard science fiction.
Yeah.
Apart from that one season apart from those like couple of seasons in like the last Tom Baker and the early Peter Davidson, where it does go really hard SF and just doesn't work. Like the last story, like the Fourth Doctor's last story, Legopolis, basically has us have a bunch of mathematicians who endlessly work out sums on computers to stop entropy from destroying the universe. I'm like, no, this is dumb. But I acknowledge the fact that if it had been like a Pertwee story, which does delve in and flirt with a lot of Buddhist ideas and
Yeah.
about how the world works. If you'd given me that story and basically gone, yeah, there's a bunch of monks who keep the universe alive by meditating, I'd be like, yeah, I buy it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, go
yeah, yeah, yep,
Morrisonian with it, you
yep,
know?
go for it.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and like Doctor Who sometimes kind of plays with whether or not magic is real.
Mm.
There's a point in a McCoy story, Battlefield, which deals with Arthurian mythology, which exists in a different dimension.
Right. That's how
And
they explain that then.
that's how to explain it. The Doctor is apparently Merlin
Of course. Of course.
because he ages backwards.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's a line where the Doctor essentially talks about Clark's third rule, which is any technology advanced enough is indistinguishable from magic. And the Doctor goes, and the reverse is oh so true. That that any magic is essentially advanced technology.
Yeah.
And I feel sometimes we kind of that gets forgotten.
Well, yeah, I feel I don't know. As someone that's played role playing games since like what 93 or so, that want of making magic like a skill tree or a simple path. It's balanced.
I
And like this level 1 spell is equivalent to this other level 1 spell. It's why I like having magic be weird. Let it be unpredictable or
you're
different or
you're
strange.
you're, you're definitely not a Brandon Sanderson fan.
Well, I mean,
It's
he's
it's
one of those people that sorts out a magic system before sorting out the plot. Really, it's like, well,
yeah. It's
I let the magic be consistent in as much as it needs to be, but have fun with it.
it's I think this is something Celeste and I have talked about before when talking about the recent Disney Star Wars films,
Mm,
and especially The Last Jedi, in that because we've had so many Star Wars video games and role playing games
yeah,
and novels where they essentially treat the Force
it's just
as
toggles and buttons and shit.
we like to use the term Dragon Ball Z power levels.
Yeah,
Even though the big thing about power levels in Dragon Ball Z is that when they introduce the concept of being able to rank someone's power level, it's done by the bad guys and it's immediately shown to be bullshit. The characters in like the heroes in Dragon Ball Z don't give a shit about power levels because they can fluctuate their own energies and will because it operates on shonen manga fighty fight logic.
of course. Yeah, yeah. The points aren't real, and none of it
Like
matters.
just because Goku's power level is over 9,000 doesn't mean that Goku can be stronger than one character, but can still be beaten in a fight with
Hmm.
Vegeta, who is weaker than Goku. But like Goku always just has that one guy who can beat him Goku never beats Vegeta in a fight, but he's still stronger than Vegeta.
I'm so sorry, everyone. I didn't realize that this was going to go into a Dragon Ball Z
So,
territory.
or like so like you have in Star Wars in like the Last Jedi, where the big thing is like Luke's just like, yeah, the Force is just it doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
The Force isn't like a stat tree. The Force is something is a fundamental part of the universe that you're tapping into.
hmm.
That just because just because you're angry that Kylo Ren is a level 20 in the Force and Rey is level 10, but still Rey kind of kicks Kylo Ren's ass in that in like at the end of the Force Awakens isn't bad storytelling. It's just that you think that the Force works in a way that it isn't,
Yeah,
and was only made that way because of like the EU novels and like the fact that we've turned the Force into a superpower.
yeah, yeah. It's yeah. a whole thing. But yes, so yeah, Wild Blue Yonder probably definitely up there out of these as one of, if not the favorite. The Giggle again had some very big Russell T Davies Doctor Who energy, and not just because Neil Patrick Harris gets to do a bit of a
Spice
song
Up
and
Your Life,
dance.
which
Yeah,
is the best part, like one of the best parts of the episode.
I mean
But
NPH is perfect in the role for what's needed of him.
yeah, it's I don't know, like this one, it has two good halves, but
Mm,
never meshes together to make a really good complete story. Like
yeah,
the parts we have, like the Doctor and the Donna in the Toymaker's realm in like the 1920s, and like they're trapped in the maze of the corridor. There's the puppets.
yeah. Oh, nice creepy puppets.
The bit where Donna just like takes the evil mother puppet, gives a little rhyme, and then smashes the puppet against the wall.
Brilliant moment.
Yeah. Um. Again, like the toy maker calling the Doctor out on his hypocrisy, on the fact he's gotten like a lot of his companions dead, and
Yeah.
the Doctor just always has like a technical answer, and and that's all right then.
Mm,
Apart from like the toy maker, although now my wife and I can't say Amy Pond properly, it's now Amy Pond,
of
and he
course.
loved Amy Pond. Because yeah,
Oh dear.
Neil Patrick Harris brings it up to 11.
Oh my god, he is just slathering ham all over the
Yeah,
television.
it's great to see Bonnie Langford as Mel. A lot of fun for
Mm,
a companion who didn't get her due back in the 80s, and then the Bi Generation,
yeah.
which has been controversial,
Mm.
especially since RTD has tried to explain it and then kind of dug
Oh my
himself in
god.
deeper.
Yeah, yeah, that explanation. So the Doctor splits himself in two, and you've got old Doctor, Tenant Doctor, for the new classic fans.
Yeah,
Go, let's close this off. And you've got new Doctor for the new fans. And it feels too much like trying to have. Again, Russell T Davies loves to have his cake and he loves to eat it.
I you know, I was a bit kind of iffy on it. I love I can see I love the fact that like one complaint I heard was it was like people were like why didn't you just have like David Tennant regenerate to Ncuti Gatwa and have shoot I'm like but that's what they keep doing. Why
Hmm.
not do some like you have
Something new.
one you have this story you have this story you have this series where you can do anything. Why keep repeating ourselves? And
Hmm.
honestly, like the one thing that sold the Bi Generation for me is the moment on David Tennant's face when the Doctor has encountered something he's literally never encountered before,
Yeah.
and there's that look of sheer joy
Well, but that can still be wonder.
that this has
Sure.
happened, that something completely magical has happened, and that sense of sheer joy kind of just wallpapers over a lot of like the plot and canon cracks, because like the whole big thing with like why the Doctor regenerated back into David Tennant is the Doctor realizing he has a problem, that the Doctor has a man pain problem,
Yeah.
and he needs to kind of deal with it because he's basically on the verge of burning out.
Well, yeah, and he's kind of addicted to it almost. It's so yeah, there are some negative behaviors that you get caught up in and that
Yeah,
you can keep doing that for whatever emotional payoff it is, even if it's not good, just because it's what you do.
yeah,
And
like
like the
it's
cynical part of me's got issues with the bi generation and how some people might take it.
the cynical part of me has those same issues. But like when people say, but the Doctor has said he'll deal with his trauma And I'm like, yeah.
Mm,
And I always say, I'm going to start going back to the gym regularly tomorrow, but I still don't.
yeah. So yeah, him actually, in theory, having a retirement
Yep.
and going, I'm just going to be a person. Like, we know the Doctor can never leave well enough alone.
No.
And I assume at some point Big Finish will get involved.
No.
But
No.
but yeah, hopefully that is the end for that Doctor.
Or just to get rid of the Gallifrey's dead and
Mhm.
destroyed, and all my companions kind of keep dying on me. All the stuff that all the traps that, like, I know I've definitely said this before, that the Time War was a great way of just kind of cleaning house for the new
Yep.
show, and then quickly created its own baggage almost straight
Yeah.
away. And so it's like, yeah, I know that Ncuti Gatwa was gonna have baggage to deal with in the new show, but that's new baggage, and we're not
Yes.
just having to redo the old baggage.
And like from the instant that Shooty appears, it's like, okay, yeah, this guy gets it. Like,
Yeah,
this is a person who I want to see as the Doctor. Um, yeah, the way they interact, as much as it felt like, oh god, they're on top of the Avengers Tower. When did we get that in London? And this feels like the location felt weird. The game odd, but it's for Toy Maker. Why not? Why not?
I kind of like it because it's it's really stripping down a Doctor away from, because I know he has a line which is about the funny clothes and the screwdriver. What am I?
Yeah.
Because the Doctor is fundamentally, he's a mad scientist and he's a trickster archetype,
Mm.
and the Doctor usually wins by being smarter than everyone. And then this is the one occasion where the Doctor defeats this evil not by being smarter, but by playing what the toy maker himself calls the oldest game in the universe. The oldest,
Yes.
most simplest game, just catching a ball.
Mm. Yeah.
And there's something really nice to that.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, and it feels like the kind of dimensional door opening up, the thing that let the toy maker come in, and the kind of the invoking of a superstition really gets like hinted at here as, oh no, that was a bigger thing than you think.
Yeah.
And then with the final special for Church on Ruby Road, it's like, oh yeah, yeah, they can just lean into doing fantasy and magic and all of these kind of things now. This is
And I kind of love it.
I so where while Blue Yonder was like, I like Event Horizon, and I like Sunshine. This one felt like I like Labyrinth and I like Stardust. You know,
Have we gone? Are we now on the Church of Ruby Road?
yeah. Let's
Okay,
Church Ruby
all right.
Road it.
Yeah. Oh God. I like Christmas Day. Rihanna and
Hmm.
I, big grins. Like for the whole episode, just big cheesy grins. There's like the moment just like Shooty is on screen, he just brings so much energy that it feels new and exciting in a way that
Yes.
Doctor Who hasn't for me, I think, since Matt Smith.
Yeah. There's definitely that Matt Smith first episode kind of energy and drive, and both with the well, with both the lead characters, we get a bit more of a supporting cast than we did in was it the 11th
The
hour?
the 11th
For
hour.
God, I'm shocked I even remember that.
I
But again, they're charming and fun, like her folks and the
I
weird
just
name.
love the moment of seeing the Doctor dancing in the nightclub in the kilt. I don't
Yes.
know. There's just something just really kind of. It does feel like, when you kind of like mental health, like when
Mm,
you've gone through a lot that is emotionally and mentally taxing, and then you just have like that one good day in for the first time in the longest while, and it just feels like magic.
yeah. Yeah, it's definitely got that kind of, yeah, a door has, that door, the tenant kind of pain door has ended.
The Coldplay Man Pain door.
Exactly, yes, for Coldplay door. And yeah, I mean, that said, yeah, it was, so that was good fun. Like, you immediately can see the kind of the setup that we're getting with these characters, even if it takes a little while for them to both kind of get together with it. And I don't know what I expected from the weird goblins, but they were very silly. They were very good fun.
The I like the airship, the musical
Hmm.
number, especially the reprise with the Doctor and
Yes.
Ruby. Having her own bit. The one thing I took from it in like the second half of the episode is just it's like what's interesting is not just Russell T Davies coming back, but Russell T Davies clearly having still watched the show, because it feels like the parts when Ruby gets taken out of time and time changes around everyone, but only the Doctor can see it. Definitely feels like something Moffat has done, but seeing
Yes.
Russell take what is very much like a Moffat era feeling story beat and then putting his own spin on it in a way that still feels like new and strong. Like I love the part where you see the flat just lit a
Oh,
lot more colder, and
yeah.
like the mum and the grandmother being just like colder, like less loving people. And the moment when like Shooty says, why are you crying? And mum's like, I don't know. Just like, my God, I was just like, I love this so much. It's just so much. It feels old and new at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just hope that can, like, a level of momentum can be kept
Yeah.
with that, because it feels like there was definitely a mandate to go, this needs to be a jumping on point, this needs to
Mm.
be something, both evocative of Doctor Who as it was, and able to
What it
be new,
what it can
what.
be.
Yeah, yeah. And again, you've got those, like, each one of these episodes feels like it, you couldn't have afforded it on a whole series of Doctor Who's budget. And that skyship, it feels like it's creaky and falling apart,
Mm.
and made by weird mischievous goblins.
Yeah.
um it's kind of perfect in that patchwork sense. That flat, as you say, be like, lighting isn't something you always think of in a film or a TV show, but being able to convey emotion through that, to go, yeah, this house, like, these people, this place is suddenly colder and something's missing, and they've got that difficult morning where you're grieving for something and you don't know what.
Yeah.
It's like, with the leftovers, that had that kind of feeling all over it, with these people that have all lost someone, but they might be back, or they might be, like, you just don't know what happened to
I
anyone.
I never watched Leftovers.
I saw the first season and I loved it. Like, it's Damon Lindelof, who I've always got time for, even if he doesn't always stick the landing. I started to download season 2 to watch that, and then my mum got ill and died, and I felt I did not want to see The
Yeah, no.
Leftovers
Yep.
after that. I was like, yeah, no,
Yeah, no.
no. One day I will
I
have the emotional stamina for this, but I cannot.
I definitely had that with fucking cancer, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'd
Yep.
say that. Yeah, at some point it might be one to brace yourself to watch, and then just go and look at the sea or at a lake or something for a
I
while.
heard that Christopher Eccleston's American accent is like no American accent ever before seen or heard.
Yeah. Speaking of which, he has been very good fun in the Night Country.
Oh, I've only seen I'm a few episodes behind on Night Country, so but like just like As I said on, I think it was on Twitter, Night Country gave us the Christopher Eccleston, Jodie Foster fuck scene we never knew we wanted.
Oh yeah. You'll see more.
Oh, great.
But yeah, like Church on Ruby Road definitely got me pumped. It got me back to rewatching some of the Who's.
It got me excited. It got me excited for seeing what Doctor Who can be now, which
Yes.
is like this last year was kind of about me reconnecting with my love of Doctor Who.
Mm.
And it's all because of a little show called Star Wars Ahsoka. Because did you watch Star Wars Ahsoka?
No, I figured we're in a weird place with the Star Wars TV shows because we'd been enjoying Mandalorian, and then I watched Boba Fett because Emma could only deal with so much Star Wars bullshit, which is like fair enough. And then there was an essential episode for the Mandalorian in it, and going to season 3, it never quite managed to capture any of that. And between that and not having seen the cartoons, I just didn't with Ahsoka.
Like, Ahsoka is fine, but like roundabout I think it was like episode 2 or 3 of Ahsoka, I was just like, this is not fun. And I was just kind of like, man, I started thinking, man, I could rewatch like Planet of the Daleks, the very first classic Who story I ever watched in entirety.
Yeah.
Which is not a great story. Like, it's all the stuff Terry Nation keeps doing, the creator of the Daleks. Like, it's not great, but it's fun. And the character, I know I'm just gonna watch. If anything, I'm gonna watch Jon Pertwee for 6 hours, so for 6 episodes of 70s TV, and I'm gonna have fun.
Yeah.
So I put it on, and everything I loved about Doctor Who just came flooding back. Like, it's like, yep, these are cheap jungle sets. Like, Jon Pertwee's wearing the most 70s suit, and I love it. It's silly, it's dumb, it looks cheap, but it felt just so much more fun and alive in a way that Ahsoka didn't.
Yes. Yeah. I with that kind of thing, I finally got round to restarting my Doctor Who marathon. After when the BBC went, hey, everything's up now. And back about a decade ago, no, a little over a decade ago, my friend Scott at my work gave me a portable hard drive filled with everything classic Who.
I think you had started your marathon
Mm-hmm.
before I moved to the States.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That was 2012.
Because I was working that job from 2010 to 2013. So I started watching it, and it was mostly being watched on a tiny netbook on the train to and from Haywards Heath. So optimal viewing experience, of course, and a lot of them were just screen caps and audio descriptions for some of the early ones. Yeah, those. And I was enjoying some of it. Like, I was chatting with Scott about them. I was chatting with you about them, and with my old manager from Dave's, Steve, because he was a massive Who fan, but very much a snob of the classic Who is the best Who kind of way.
I think it's good I never knew about Steve's Doctor Who obsession, because I would have gotten banned years ago.
Probably. So he got very excited about where I was at and where I was going, and because he saw all of these things so long ago, and I hit the series 8, I think it was, Pertwee and the Damons, which has Roger Delgado, the Master, brilliant, love him, dressed up as him at one point for a Doctor Who party, and it shows for proof that Morris men are evil, which of course they are.
Yep.
And I'd stopped there, and I forget why I stopped, and then the hard drive died, and I just never continued with the watch of it. And I eventually, with the because I'm lazy, and while certain pirate based options used to be my regular viewing kind of things, I am so lazy that actually if I could just watch it on streaming, fuck yes, let's
Yeah.
do that. So I picked back up the Pertwee marathon, and I'm a few stories in now to series 9, and it's a joy going back, and it is daft in places, but again there's just this constant sense of charm with it all. Hell, I rewatched the Damons because I
Because Morris men are evil.
yeah, I wanted to see the Master, and I wanted to see Morris men um being evil. Yeah, I feel I can't be blamed for these things.
Oh.
So yeah, so I've had that, and then with Emma, we were watching the Tenant stuff. So I've had two simultaneous marathons in different eras. It's just we kind of petered out slightly as we've hit the Martha Jones series 3, and she's gone like, yeah, you can watch it on your own if you want, which tends to mean, oh, I see.
Oh,
You
yep.
just don't want to watch this. She, on the other hand, has been doing a marathon of the Matt Smith era by herself. So you realise I'm going to get to that point. She was like, "I'm good with that. I can rewatch this. It's all
Yeah.
right." It's like fine. You get to see Matt Smith. You get to see Amy Pond. It's all good fun.
Yep. And on the back of Planet of the Dogs, I was like, you know what? I've never sat down and started watching Doctor Who with an unearthly child and gone all the way to Survival in 1989.
Wow.
And so that's what I have been doing since September, October.
You've mentioned it a couple of times. So where are you at now?
I have just started series or season season or
Series for British shows, seasons
series.
for American shows.
So series 3.
Yeah.
So Ian and Barbara have left.
Yep.
And now I watched the animated reconstruction of Galaxy 4.
Oh yeah.
Galaxy 4 is terrible. But it's yep.
Done
And
now.
it's done, and I just finished listening to, because I can't do the recons.
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully, because Doctor Who fans will buy anything, like you can get the audio only soundtracks with linking narration, and so I've been listening to those for the episodes I'm missing. I listened to Mission to the Unknown, which is like episode 0, the prologue to the Daleks' master plan, which is 12 episodes of Dalek shenanigans.
Yep.
But unfortunately, I'm in that point where I'm like, I have how many missing episodes to get through at this point?
Oh.
It's quite a lot. So I've hit a wall. Galaxy 4 didn't help.
No.
And there's part of me, I have to watch I have the Myth Makers, which is one I've never listened to, because I didn't like the pure historicals for the longest time. Because just like, I don't know, I'm like, yeah, I just like the spaceships and the monsters. And like, you mean I have to learn? You mean this is educational? Ew. But like, I've kind of, my opinion has changed on like the historical ones. Like, I enjoy the Reign of Terror.
Yep.
The Aztecs is a good one, but you're watching a lot of white British people in brown face, and we can't get away from that on this show.
No.
I don't think we ever will, because Gowron's played by a white guy.
Yeah, as much as we love Gowron, that is a problem. Yeah, it's also, as people that will constantly refer to old British TV shows and such, it is a thing that happened a lot.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of like, man,
Mm,
I
wow.
have to go through the summer. I've hit a brief stumbling point. I don't regret doing it.
So, yeah, I was going to ask, how's it holding up? Have you as a very not casual Doctor Who fan, is there anything new, any takeaways you've had from this watch?
I've really enjoyed watching William Hartnell. Has never been like my favorite Doctor.
Mm,
Partially because like a lot of his stories don't exist
yep,
in a form that's easy to watch, and I think his show suffers from having too many 6 or 7 part stories, which could easily be 4-parters. So you have a lot of padding,
yeah.
and when you have like the cast on rotating holiday, the padding becomes more prevalent. At the same time, watching him go from the very kind of anti-hero, almost villain of the first 3 stories to being this very kind of the kind of cuddly hero he becomes, that's been great fun. And
Mm,
watching him in sequence has been a fantastic arc. And also realizing that the first Doctor is a proper klepto.
oh
Like
God, yeah.
if it's not nailed down, the first Doctor's gonna nick it, and that's kind of great. It's watching the Doctor become the Doctor.
Yes. Yeah, he seems kind of at times pugnacious
Hmm.
and kind of a bit puckish. And I didn't know what to expect because I'd never heard anything about any of them apart from seeing a bit of a Tom Baker episode and the end bits of some Sylvester McCoy's before the McGann film and then the new era.
Yeah.
Um, so I had no idea what 1, 2, or 3 would be like, and I was like, oh no, is he going to be just really dry and stuffy? But no, very
No,
much the opposite with Hartnell.
and that's just kind of been great fun to kind of see because the trouble, the thing is, he's also doing Doctor Who as like he's the only actor who gets to play the Doctor as a character who is completely unlike any of the other performers.
Yeah, there is
Because he
no ability to reference anything that's gone before.
no, and like a lot of there's very definitely a Troughton influence in a lot of later Doctors, and so it's just kind of this really nice to watch a show where it's unencumbered by there's no baggage,
Yeah,
and there's something wonderful about that. Like there's that wonderful charm. It's like there are no time lords, there are no time wars, there are no there's no huge big bits of lore which are
mm,
gonna feel heavy. It's like regeneration's not a thing. He has one heart. He might actually be from the 50th century if you believe the pilot, and so it just kind of feels strange and new. And I
yeah.
get why the show just became so incredibly popular with the kids of 1963. That wonderful time to be alive in England.
Hmm.
And yeah, and so right now, because it just feels a bit more disjointed, because also the show gets a bit rough because we pick up companions, we lose companions, we pick up companions just to kill them in the next story. It doesn't have that wonderful through line that Ian and Barbara provide,
Yeah,
because the show starts with them, and when you get to the chase, when they leave, it feels like the show is kind of, this is done now, but we're going to keep going, but we're just having to work out what the show is.
it's a weird one for that.
Yeah. And I
Mm,
don't, and like, while I know season 3 has has some really good science fiction ideas, and my personal favorite missing story, The Savages.
mm.
I don't I think that season 3 is kind of a bit rough in a way that it won't kind of recapture itself until Hartnell unfortunately leaves, and Patrick Troughton comes along, and
Yeah.
the show kind of gets to reinvigorate itself, for better or worse, because when it hits Troughton, it now is about like the monsters, and it stops being a time travel science fiction show, and kind of becomes an adventure show.
Yeah. So, Mars.
Yes, Charlie.
We've talked about the current stuff. We've talked about our mutual respective marathons. And as the expert on Doctor Who here, I have some questions. And I've been
Okay.
working on these.
Yep.
I feel these very important questions.
I feel my criteria when we're talking about this was I I want either dumb questions or insane questions.
I've got good news for you.
Oh, good.
So,
Your tendency towards dumb insanity has not disappointed.
oh, good. So, first of all, which actor of the Doctor do you reckon you could have taken in a fight at the age they were when they were filming? Because
Ooh,
obviously some of them are a bit dusty now.
yeah. I don't know. Like before he got, ironically, William. Given how Doctor Who has lent towards typecasting of actors,
Mm.
William Hartnell chose the role to escape typecasting, because beforehand he was basically known as a gruff, heavy type in films. Like, he's one of the gangsters in Brighton Rock, and he just tended towards like being the heavy in a lot of these kind of post-war films. So I definitely couldn't take William Hartnell in a fight.
I'd worry with him. Like I feel like he'd surprise you in a terrible, violent way.
He looks like he could pull a knife on me. So that
Yes,
said, I am gonna go with Peter Cushing, who played the Doctor in the 260s Dalek films.
of course.
I think I could take Peter Cushing in a fight, but I feel like he would go to his mate Christopher Lee, and I'll have Christopher Lee knocking on my front door going, "Do you want to step outside?"
Oh yeah, Christopher Lee would just obliterate you,
Yeah,
like and anyone. Yeah.
like John Pertwee was in the Navy, so I
Hmm.
feel like he's definitely had a few brawls in a pub.
Yeah.
Um, Tom Baker, I worry would probably try and bite me.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. God. I mean, that said, Davison might be another one that you could.
I think I could probably take Davidson in the fight. Colin Baker,
Oh
no, no,
no, that mad feral energy.
Colin Baker would obliterate me. Um, oh God, Paul McGann. I mean, he could obliterate me, but in a far more sexual way. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I
You'd feel bad, really,
see,
attacking him.
I am perfectly, confident in my heterosexuality. But if Paul McGann offered, I would be down. Honestly, he's a very sexy man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no shame. Like, I don't know, John Hurt.
Oh yeah. Actually, yeah, because he was getting on a bit when he was the Doctor.
Yeah, but again, like John, like when you see like young John Hurt, you're like, oh yeah, I don't know. He looks like he's been in a scrap or two.
Yeah. Okay, so
Capaldi was famously in a punk band with Clive Ferguson, so it's
again,
definitely been in a fight.
yeah, yeah. I would fear going up
Yeah,
against Capaldi.
Christopher Eccleston. I feel that since I'm from the South, I think he would actually take great pleasure in beating me up on
Yeah,
purely class-based terms, and don't blame him.
yeah. He'd just assume you're a royalist or something.
Yeah, honestly, I'm going with Peter Cushing.
Okay, so you are a director.
Oh dear.
you have been tasked with making a Doctor Who porn parody. What episode title are you going with?
Okay, so there's actually been quite famously a Dalek porn parody.
What?
Yeah, there's a Doctor Who porn parody with the Daleks.
Oh dear.
I think it's called Abducted by the Daleks. I've never actually seen it.
See, that I feel you could do better than that. Like they
Okay.
need to, workshop it a bit.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so I can take any Doctor Who episode title and turn it into a porn parody.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. Ooh. Okay, so we've got the Seeds of Doom. So you could probably turn that into like the Seeds of Cum. The Seeds of the Screw of Doom.
Hmm.
The ambassador. Okay, I've got one.
Go on.
Season 7, there's a story called The Ambassadors of Death. So you could probably call that like the Ambassadors of Sex.
Okay, yeah. See, I had the 69 Doctors
See,
down. So that way you could have people for each the Doctors as well.
That's very true. Let's see. Okay.
I love the amount of thought that's going in this as well.
Okay.
We film on Wednesday, so I will need an answer.
In terms of Doctor Who stories that already sound like porn parodies, we have The Dominators.
Of course.
Ooh, let's see. Okay, we could take the title Invasion of the Dinosaurs and turn it into Invasion of the Nymphomaniacs. Of course, that's like, there's that famous, there's the episode Red Dwarf Back to Reality, when they've been tricked into thinking they've been playing a Red Dwarf virtual reality game. And you have a character go, "Did you find the planet of the Nymphomaniacs?" Let's see. Okay. Ah, man.
I realised I should have put got some episode names to hand for this.
Let's see. There's the Davidson story, Four to Doomsday. That could be called like Four to Orgasm.
For Play to Doomsday.
Oh, hey. Let's see. There's of course the Curse of Fatal Death, which you could turn into the Curse of Fatal Fuck. No.
Wow.
The Fuck of Fatal Death.
Oh dear. I mean, just picking a series at random with The Leisure Hive. You could go for Pleasure Hive.
The Pleasure Hive. Let's see. Seeds. We got Seeds of. Okay, we got Seeds of Doom. That's definitely some weird Mpreg kink right there.
Oh dear. I mean, yeah, we're not talking the topics of these because let's face it, it's Doctor Who.
Look, let's be honest.
We'll leave it to AO3.
Chris Claremont probably has a copy of The Dominators on like Laserdisc.
Oh dear.
What if porn ever got released onto Laserdisc? All right. Next question.
Which animal is best?
Which animal is best?
Yeah, just in general.
Animal from the Muppets.
Okay, cool. Fuck, marry, kill. Russell T Davies, Stephen Moffat, and Chris Chibnall.
Oh, okay. Fuck Russell T Davies. Marry Stephen Moffat. Kill Chris Chibnall.
Yeah, I realised it was pretty much in the order as it goes along. Is like originally I had you are trapped in a lift with a bag of salt and Russell T Davies, Stephen Moffat, and Chris Chibnall. Who are you cannibalising? But I kind of know the answer there. I'm very sorry to Chibnall for that.
I am also very sorry to Chibnall because I don't hate him as much as other Who fans. Like the guy the guy was given a job,
Yeah.
and that job is the most unenviable job in the world, because no matter what you do, people are going to be baying for your blood. No matter no matter what you put out, there's going to be some crazed fan on online who is going to be baying for your blood.
Yes. So, okay, now you're a Time Lord.
Okay.
What form is your busted TARDIS stuck as?
Ooh, what form is my busted? And anything I want, right?
Yeah, yeah. As long as it can still perform the functions for TARDIS, it just can't look like the original form of a TARDIS.
Knowing what my luck is like, my TARDIS will take the form of the sadly destroyed West Pier of Brighton seafront.
In a destroyed form?
No, no, no. It'll be like how it used to be before the
Okay.
tornado and insurance scams that resulted in its destruction.
Wow.
Well, actually, knowing my luck, it'll look like a Starbucks.
Yeah, yeah. I was wondering if you were going to answer a Starbucks. Like a coffee kiosk might work quite good. When I ran a Doctor Who RPG, it was an ice cream van, and that was perfect. They even took the cone off of the top of it, and like to use to channel kind of chronal energy at one point when there was a thing in Providence that looked like it could have been a Lovecraftian monster, but was just part of an alien zoo, and it was freaking out Howard Lovecraft, who the group bullied relentlessly and correctly.
Good. So they should.
Yes, so they should. Speaking of which,
Actually, no. I know what my TARDIS would look at. It
oh
would
yeah,
look. It would take the form of a Republican National Conference
uh,
or an NRA meeting.
uh,
Yeah.
man, you can do better. It's all
Yeah.
right. You don't have to have like an RNC show as your TARDIS.
Or no, in my history, it'll turn into a Labour Party conference. I've worked like I've worked like 4 of those.
God, oh, that'd be rough. Yeah, it might. If we're thinking of worst TARDIS things, for me, it would be an office. Yeah. Oh dear.
Although
Mm.
a blockbuster video.
Oh, that'd be kind of fun. So speaking of going back in time and bullying H.P. Lovecraft, who would you go back in time to mildly bother? Like, not to do the kill Hitler thing or anything, but who would you mildly inconvenience with time travel?
Stan Lee.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
Bob Kane would be a good
Yeah.
one.
I don't know. I think I would actually bully Bob Kane.
Mm. Yeah, you'd have.
Whereas Stan Lee, I would go back in time and go, do you really want to do this? Is the money and fame worth that much?
See if you could convince him to use his actual name and just to minorly change everything.
Ben Shapiro,
Oh,
Jordan Peterson.
and you'd want to do more, but yeah, I guess if it was a case of mildly inconveniencing, then yeah, sure,
Ed Sheeran.
yeah, again could be fun. So we're back to the director's chair.
Okay.
Okay, so this time there's going to be an American Doctor Who, right?
Okay. Right.
American show, American cast. If you're actually trying to make it good, who would you cast as their first Doctor?
Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I've had
You,
that
you
answer for you.
yeah, you said in our
No,
very last episode, Whoopi Goldberg.
there's actually a very entertaining video online which posits like the alternate timeline of if Doctor Who were an American show,
Hmm.
and they picked a concurrent US actor for every incarnation. Burgess Meredith was the William Hartnell.
Mhm.
Dick Van Dyke
Ah,
was Troughton. Vincent Price was Jon Pertwee. I can't remember who was Tom. I can't remember who was Tom Baker. Crap. I remember that the number 6 was Christopher Walken. Oh,
nice.
Carl McLaughlin was was Peter Davidson.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. I think Tony Shalhoub was Sylvester McCoy.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh no. Okay. It's been a while since I've seen this. Oh no. Jeff Goldblum was Paul
Mhm.
McGann, which is ironic because apparently Jeff Goldblum, when they were talking about doing a US Doctor Who movie, Jeff Goldblum was one of the names touted.
Oh my god.
Yeah. God. Sam Rockwell, they said was like number 10.
Oh,
With Harry, yeah.
love a bit of Sam Rockwell.
Harrison Ford, they said was the War Doctor. But yeah, like I'm gonna say Whoopi Goldberg. Like back in like the height. Like color when she was like doing Color Purple, Ghost, Guinan, you know.
Yeah.
Let's see, other American. Okay, does it have to be contemporary American actors? Like, am I having to go with American actors from this period, or can I pick across?
See, I feel it might be a bit too easy if you can
Okay,
pick from all
if I
over.
can pick. Okay,
See,
that's fair.
personally, I don't know what he's doing now, but I think Scott Bakula would be like there is the risk, the quantum leap risk.
Yeah,
but he would get the charm really well.
Edward James Olmos.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one. Like, make that your Hartnell type.
Definitely kind of go for like your very established character actor.
Because he can do serious. Like, we've seen him be very serious in BSG,
Yeah.
but actually he can also turn on the charm and he can be fun with it as well.
I know people would laugh at me for saying this.
Hmm.
I would love to say Nick Cage.
Okay.
Either Nick Cage or Keanu Reeves.
Keanu would be a good chill doctor. Okay.
Okay, one last one.
Yep.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Fishburne would be great. Walking in on Emma, rewatching Hannibal again, and yeah, it's like, yeah. So, rewind. Back in the director's chair again. You're making American Doctor Who, but it's specifically like the best casting for a bad channel, like Stars doing Doctor Who.
Oh,
that
God.
kind of thing, you know. What's the best worst casting? You've used up Nicolas Cage already.
Oh, okay. Let me have to think. I have to think about this one.
Yeah. See, my first thought was like, I know she's not American, but Eva Green.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah. Yeah, God, going full wacky with
Yeah.
it. Yeah. God, that'd hurt.
See, the thing is, like, Nick Cage makes good movies.
Yeah.
And he's had a good run. But, so, like, you know, Mandy, Pig, which, if you haven't seen, Pig is amazing.
Okay. Like, maybe Jason Momoa or someone, like, a slightly more budget version, you know?
Christopher Judge.
Yeah.
Although I think he could be good because, like, I like him as Teal'c and in Stargate SG-1, and he's kind of good as Kratos in the recent God of War games.
Oh yes. Oh God, I've got one.
Okay.
James Spader.
Oh, that would be kind of
creepy doctor.
Oh God, let's see. Avery Brooks.
Oh, if you could drag him out of
retirement
/
blacklisting, it's kind of unclear.
I know he only did an interview if he could play like jazz and that, and So okay, but yeah, he would be a fascinating Doctor. He could get that otherworldliness really well.
but it's stars. So do you know who we would get?
Hmm?
It'd be fucking Shatner, man.
Oh, oh no, Shatner would be. Yeah, you're right. That would be the worst. Present day Shatner, specifically.
I'm trying to think who else. I mean, I
Hmm.
can't say Pedro Pascal because Pedro Pascal is in everything now.
He is, and and he's good.
And he's good.
Oh God, Adam Driver.
Oh, I think he'd be good.
He'd be in. He'd. It would be difficult. It feels like it would be a coin flip.
Do you know who? Okay, I'm gonna mention someone I like,
Okay.
but I would hate to see as a Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I love. Like, don't get me wrong, love him as a comedian. Like, I think he's great, but
Mm-hmm.
he would. Okay, on subject of good casting for the Doctor,
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah. Yes. She's watching Scream Queens with her, and she was very good fun in that.
Okay, I know, I've got it. I know
Oh
who it's
yeah.
going to be for my terrible budget US Doctor Who casting.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Lillard.
Yes. Yes. There we go. There we go. The perfect one. Like, ideally, if you could time travel, then yeah, from the like Scream, Scooby Doo, 13 Ghosts kind of
Yeah,
era of Matthew Lillard. But
I don't know.
present day has a side hustle selling ludicrously expensive deluxe D&D components. Matthew Lillard would probably do just as well.
Or just like Matthew Lillard from Twin Peaks: The Return, where apparently David Lynch would just call him by his character name, just forgetting who Matthew Lillard actually is.
Wow. Uh, okay, so um, on a similar line, there are Doctor Who comics. There have always been Doctor Who comics. Who would make for the best and worst comic artists to do a Doctor Who comic?
Oh, okay. Best to worst. Okay, and I'm guessing that they can't have actually done a Doctor Who comic before.
Sure. Yeah, I admit I don't know who's done them, so you
Um.
could lie and that'd be fine. But yeah.
Okay, for best, I might have say Fiona Staples, who
Yeah.
draws Saga. Sean Phillips,
Sean Phillips would be
who
good.
does all the Brubaker stuff.
Yeah, yeah. See, I was thinking someone like Kevin Maguire or Alan Davis. If you're talking, doing a lot of the faces, a lot of talking, they both do beautiful faces.
I think Alan Davis has definitely may have, if he's not done the main Doctor Who comic,
Mm,
I feel like he may have done like a backup strip.
he must
Uh,
have, right?
like David Lloyd did some Doctor Who backup strips, some
Yeah.
written by Alan Moore.
Okay.
Okay, let's see.
Like, has Paul Grist done any Doctor Who?
No, no, wait. I think he has. I think he's done like an. I think he did like an IDW.
Because again, he would be perfect.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. God, the writer, penciler, and inker of a Torchwood comic.
Of course. Okay. He has done some Doctor Who covers,
Yes.
but Walter Simonson.
Oh yes. Yeah. Um. Yes.
Okay, and one more good one.
Okay.
P. Craig Russell.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be amazing. I've not seen his work for ages, but for Legends for Dark Knight stuff that he did.
I know he at the moment he mostly does like adaptations of game and stuff. Like
Okay.
he did the adaptation of Norse mythology.
Yeah.
He's done a few short stories here and there. I have a really good adaptation he did for Tops of the Michael Moorcock novel Stormbringer,
Ooh.
which they recently re-released. Okay, bad comic artists.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, Brian Hitch.
Yeah.
Like I like it. I like his art, but it just wouldn't.
It's too big.
It's too big. It's too big and widescreen. And let's see,
It'd be like the fears of a Disney budget Doctor Who come to life, almost.
Sam Keefe.
Okay.
I just his art style is fine for like the Max and early Sandman. I just don't know if it would fit Doctor Who.
Oh, one that I like that I don't think would be great. Humberto Ramos. Love Ramos's art. It would be it's too kinetic in a way that wouldn't match with it.
Like, I know you want me to say Liefeld.
I see my
I want me to say Liefeld.
and yet you want to see the Doctor with way too many teeth.
I want to see the Doctor with like a lot of pouches. I want to see the return of the Doctor's utility belt.
Well, there you go. There's your perfect artist.
To clarify, in like the 60s TV comic, which was like a UK comic from back in the day, which had comics based on TV shows. They had the weird Doctor Who strip, which sometimes appears on episodes of Atop the Fourth Wall. The second Doctor had a utility belt and once blasted a spider while screaming, "Die, hideous creature, die."
Okay. And for my last...
Is this about comic writers?
Oh, I hadn't... No.
Okay, because do you know who I would love to see write a Doctor Who comic? Tom King.
I have so many difficult thoughts about that.
That's the thing. Like, it would be... I don't know if it would be good, because like he's written some great stuff, like Supergirl and Strange Adventures.
Yeah.
And he's written some terrible things. And then he's written something like Rorschach, which is almost interesting to read. Like, in a kind of almost car crash nature. I'm like, this is... I don't know if this is good or not, but it's still fascinating to read. I think he would actually quintessentially... I think Tom King could write a really good David Tennant or Matt Smith era Doctor Who story, because it would definitely get into that weird man pain guilt thing.
Oh god, it really would.
Maybe Tom King should not have tried to make his comic career on I may have killed people, or I may have committed war crimes, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and yet. Okay, so final question here. So back when there used to be a Gen Con UK in as like a gaming convention in the UK, there was a Wizards of the Coast stall, and I remember getting in an argument with someone at the stall about what I felt was the increasing board gamification and kind of like paring down any of the weird edges of D&D so that it was more prescribed kind of stuff. And my friends, bless them, dragged me away for fear that I would start a fight. Now, I'm a man of peace. I'm a pacifist. But I entirely get that, yeah, things had got a bit too animated. Has there ever been any situation along those lines for you with Doctor Who where you, even if it's not something where you've actively had to be dragged away from a situation, that you've had to remove yourself or kind of like no longer be in a situation because of Doctor Who?
A lot of conversations on Twitter.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That is just Twitter. I've been free from it for so long now that I forgot that was even a thing.
I'm trying to think of any time for the most part I've not gotten into. See, the thing is, there are, but like they concern friends of mine, and I don't want to name and shame on the pod. I don't want to name and shame.
You don't want to name and shame like Sean for any bad opinions on Doctor Who or anything.
Okay, great. And I have to edit this out.
For my shame, I don't remember Sean's opinions on Doctor Who. So You may have good ones, but I'm just going to assume they're garbage because I've been yes-anding your bullying of him for so long now that I'm just bought into it.
Like, see, like it's generally there's a reason why I don't frequent like Doctor Who forums
Yeah.
because like the most infuriating conversations I've ever had with Doctor Who have always been with Doctor Who fans more obsessed with Doctor Who than I am. Like I feel like I can switch it off.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like Doctor Who is this very silly dumb show at times. And I feel like it's important to remember that and not treat it so seriously.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, I've had people come up to me and go, "Hey, if I want to get started with Doctor Who, how do I do this?" I'm just like, "Okay, you can go this way, or you can try the classic stuff." You have to understand the classic stuff is a form of TV that hasn't been made in like 20 to 30 years. So you're going to, like, with younger people, there's a good chance that they'll bounce off it because it's so of its time that we grew up with TV being made like this that we can go back. But for people who are used to TV being more filmic and very much using like the language of film, going back and watching something made in a studio on like 3 sets of plywood can look archaic in the way that, say, me watching like an old 50s American sitcom, which has all those particular styles of productions and values, and in terms of 1950s TV, those values, where I'm just like, this is alien to me.
Well, you kind of almost need the buy-in ahead of time. You know, that way you're willing to be a lot more accepting of for shaky sets, for weird, kind of long serials that they have, and so on.
It's like I'm kind of glad that you can actually like the classic. I feel like the classic Batman TV show being able to watch
Oh,
on like in a commercially available format and
yeah,
not just basing everything off that one film, off the 66 film, has really improved everyone's perception of Batman the TV show, because now you can actually see it and not just kind of go, yeah, it's all camp and Bat-Tusi and Biff Baff Bop.
Oh yeah, that was a fun show.
But
Yeah, so
like, I can't like any arguments I've had with Doctor Who fans have just been with Doctor Who fans who have definitely been either very kind of classist or bigoted about the modern show, and I'm just like, I'm removing myself from this conversation
yeah,
because we're not gonna change each other's minds, and you're clearly just here to troll.
yeah,
So I'm gonna get away. I'm gonna let you think I'm gonna let you think you've won because there's no point to you. Because I've had Doctor Who fans call me a fake Who fan for not saying Jodie Whittaker is the worst thing to ever happen to Doctor Who. 'Cause I'm like, she's an actress in a TV show.
yeah.
I've had more important things in my life going on right now that I don't have the energy to be this angry about a TV show anymore.
Mm,
Like, sure, I get angry about Child Death Machine, but our anger begins and ends with the show.
yeah.
I'm not going on a vitriolic rampage every day because Lift Is Up Where Pleasure Lies is a piece of television that was made.
Ah, dear. Well, on that note, I'm kind of. I feel like after we record this, I'm going to go and I'm going to watch the next part of the Pertwee run.
Oh, which will be what?
Oh, I'm trying to remember now. Let's see. It's
So season 9, let's see. Have you watched the first Peladon story?
yes,
Okay. So Curse of Peladon. I think it might. Hang on. So I think it's either going to be the Sea Devils or the Mutants.
let's see. So yeah, yeah, for mutants.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it's for mutants.
I actually really like the mutants. It's one of my. I think the mutants is one of my favorite Pertwee, although it's not a. It's one of those ones, those classic Who stories. Where I'm like, it's not executed well.
Yeah,
There are some really duff special effects, but like the plot and the story and what it's trying to say is really good. And
okay.
also, Big Starklighter from Star Wars is in it
Ha.
as Kai, one of the main people of the planet Solos. And he gets more of a role than he does in Star Wars.
Wow.
But has probably been invited to a lot more Star Wars conventions.
Probably yes. Yeah.
And
So
he doesn't unfortunately have like that porn tash.
oh,
He
that's a
has his
great
big.
tash.
That's a great porn tash.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got to have a side hustle if you're working for Rebellion. You know, they can't
Yeah.
pay everyone's wages to a good level.
All right.
So yeah, on that note, this has been actually for us a regular / slightly longer than normal episode with a lot of Doctor
This
Who.
was gonna be like that quick one we did.
Yep. Yeah, we should learn by now. That doesn't happen.
Miles should learn to not have to change his schedule because he's got a podcast about some really bad aliens, about a really bad aliens tie-in novel.
Oh dear. Yeah. Good luck.
Good. I've got a good aliens tie-in novel to wash it down with after the bad one.
Nice.
Yeah. So for those of you who see my guest appearances on Breakfast in the Ruins, spoiler alert, I'm talking about aliens books.
Yes. Yeah, I'm very much looking, as someone that was a massive, massive Alien fan as a kid, I'm very much looking forward to hearing you talk about those.
Although, that said, after this, I will finally get to talk about a Michael Moorcock book. But when I think we get to talk about the Doctor Who novel, the 11th Doctor novel Michael Moorcock wrote back in the day.
Right. I see. Okay.
Anyway.
But yes, for us here on Casual Trek, it's back to regular services next time. Although, oh no, it's going to be a disaster on the holodeck. Because let's face it, they can't help but use them, and they can't help but go wrong.
Yep.
So yeah, you can see us on.
Oh no! We're doing the usual.
Yeah,
you can see me on my blog, which we'll link to in the show notes.
Yeah, and you can see me on mine, which is a little neglected now, but I will try and actually put something on it. Also down there in the show notes, along with the Ko-fi for Casual Trek as well. If you want us to cover a specific episode or theme, sling us, frankly, anything at this point. We've not yet sorted out a Patreon or anything bigger, so we will dance for your money. It's fine. Sometimes literally. So yeah, go and warp all the way to whatever time you come from, I guess.
And enjoy the jelly babies. Enjoy all the jelly babies.
Of course.
A presence science can't deny exists within, outside, behind.
You've been listening to Casual Trek by Charlie Etheridge Nunn and Miles Reed-Lovato. Casual Trek's part of the Nerd and Tie network, and if you want to support us monetarily because you love what we do that much, you can now do that by going to Ko-fi and looking up Casual Trek. There's a link in the show notes.
At that point, I guide my fleet. As fingers move to end mankind, metallic teeth begin their grind. With sword of truth, I turn to fight the satanic powers of the night. Is your faith before your mind? Know me. Am I the Doctor?